New data backs up what we've been telling you for the past week. Overdoses kill Americans in numbers never seen before. Perhaps President Trump's plan for missile strikes on Mexican drug labs that are killing Americans wasn't as crazy as it sounded. Just think about that for a minute over the next story. And it's not just junkies who are dying. Still, nobody will treat the cartels, the drug cartels, like the terrorists they are. The CDC reports overdoses killed 107,000 Americans last year. 40,000 plus of those 18 to 45-year-olds who died from a single drug, fentanyl. Imagine what we would do if a terrorist group killed 40,000 Americans. ISIS killed less than a dozen, and we blew them back to the Stone Age, where they rightly belong. Let's talk about the cartels and who they are killing. Every day across America, a number of people die the very first time they try drugs. 2 Ohio State students bought fake Adderall. Adderall is a prescription drug used to treat attention deficit disorder, but the dealer had laced it with fentanyl. They died. Same with the West Point cadets looking to party in Florida for spring break. They went to West Point. They were regularly drug tested. They thought they were buying low-grade opiate painkillers to have a little fun. The pills killed them. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can kill one person. For understanding, 2 milligrams. That's less than the amount of salt you put on your eggs in the morning. A teaspoon. The amount of sugar you put in your coffee is 5,000 milligrams. In other words, this cup of coffee right here, filled with fentanyl, can kill 300,000 people. That's roughly the population of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now let's talk about the money of this coffee cup. In order to fill this coffee cup with fentanyl, it costs the drug cartels in Mexico about $3,000. They can sell pills laced with all of this fentanyl, crush up aspirin and reconstitute it as pills, put a little fentanyl in, $800,000. That is a profit margin worth fighting over, worth killing people over. Drug dealers, understandably with those margins, love fentanyl because it's cheap, highly addictive, and provides their customers with a great high. Of course, it can kill their customers too, but that's generally not the drug dealers' problems, except in Riverside, California. The district attorney there charges dealers with murder and overdose cases. Here's Michael Hestron from last night's show.
Word's getting out in our county that people are saying you don't want to deal drugs or have anything to do with fentanyl in Riverside County because the DA is going to charge you with murder.
If only all of America was like Riverside County. As we said, drug dealers love fentanyl. Here's some pictures of it because it's cheap. Fits in small places. These are small packets of it. It's easy to smuggle and gives them a great profit margin. The only people who love fentanyl more than the users and the dealers are the drug cartels. That's the sound of the drug cartels in their turf wars. They regularly fight in Mexico over the smuggling routes, and they don't like U.S. law enforcement. Their gunmen here, you can see, pointing AK-47s at a Texas state trooper helicopter just a few months ago. They reportedly now have anti-aircraft missiles and rocket-propelled grenades in their arsenal. Along our southern border, the cartels are sovereign countries. Their security forces outgun and outperform the Mexican army. Their Treasury Department brings in hundreds of millions of dollars in hard cash every month. Remember the coffee cup and the profit margin just from this. And they guard their kingpins as well as the Secret Service protects President Biden. Last year, the cartel's products killed roughly 25 times more Americans than 9/11 did. Within the past 10 minutes of us coming on air, Border Patrol recovered $18 million worth of meth near Laredo, Texas. It comes over. This is just a drop in the bucket. This is a normal loss for the cartels. It's a big bust for the Border Patrol. It's just a tiny drop in the bucket of the amount of drugs coming over every day. Again, with profit margins like they have, why do they care about a couple of seizures at the border? Yet our leaders refuse to fight them like the terrorist organizations they are. Here's Lieutenant Chris Oliveris of the Texas Department of Public Safety from last week's show.
They are just so powerful now with the weapons that they have, the profits, the money. They're able to influence other individuals in the government as well. That's what makes them even more powerful. And also these contract killings that are taking place in the United States because of these rival cartels that are fighting over territory and corridors that lead to other states for drug smuggling.
Contract killings in the United States. The shootouts that we showed you video of earlier are not far away. A few years ago, most Americans could dismiss the opioid epidemic as something that happened to other people, the junkies. The new statistics prove otherwise, as do the facts on the ground. The DEA reports 40% of all pills sold on the street contain a potentially lethal dose of fentanyl. Not every one that your kids buys or your grandkids sees at a party will kill them, but a lot will. And it's clear the cartels and their dealers here do not care how many Americans they kill, and sadly, we don't care enough to stop them. With that, let's talk about exactly what our leadership is caring about these days. Instead of coming up with a way to fight the cartels, the junior senator from Missouri and presidential hopeful Josh Hawley announced plans today for a bill to solve one of America's great problems. As we noted, it is not the fentanyl crisis or dealing with the cartels. Wait for it. He wants to take away copyright protections for Mickey Mouse to punish Disney. His proposal would limit new copyrights to 56 years, make the change retroactive for the biggest entertainment companies that were granted long monopolies, aka go after Disney. It would delay implementation for certain license holders to reasonably protect pre-existing contracts. This is the political equivalent of pulling a girl's hair in kindergarten just for attention. Except this isn't kindergarten. It's the United States Senate. And you, the people those senators work for, face, among a number of problems, the serious economic crisis we've been talking about. Mr. Hawley is acting as serious as, well, there he is, Daffy Duck. Of course, we know why he's doing it. Ron DeSantis took over the national conservative spotlight by fighting Disney. Now Josh Hawley wants part of that spotlight. Hawley himself declined to join us tonight to discuss his bill and how it will solve the problems you deal with every day. Of course, the invitation's always open. Vince Coglianese here, editorial director and the Daily Caller, radio host at WMAL in Washington. Vince, good to see you. Are we going to ever have a time when our leaders actually deal with the problems that affect us most?
Boy, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or as Trish said, probably the trillion-dollar question. This is, that's the key priority. And God bless you for covering the fentanyl deaths today, because really that is the biggest story of the day. Well over 100,000 Americans dead to drug overdoses. As for Josh Hawley, and I know you really resent that he's doing this. Here's how I assess it. One, he's in the minority party. Yes, it's a split Senate, but they don't control the agenda. This is a showpiece of legislation, but it's a demonstration of where Hawley thinks his priorities need to be to impress a base that will support him going into the future, the kind of guy who has farther ambitions, I think, beyond the Senate. Additionally, this is a meaningful thing. The culture war itself is a meaningful thing. Democrats like to say that Republicans are waging a culture war. I don't think that's right. I think Republicans, by and large, are fighting back against a culture war that the Democrats have been waging for many years without much of pushback from the right. And so when you see that come from a guy like Ron DeSantis in Florida, when he goes after Disney's special privileges with the government there, now you have Josh Hawley at the national level saying, we're going to go after Disney's special privileges here. There's an audience for this, Leland. Oh, no, you're right. There are bigger priorities, but there is a big audience for this.
Oh, no, there's a huge audience. And you think about the GOP field, right? Hawley, Cruz, Rubio, Trump, DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Tom Cotton, Pompeo, Mike Pence, Chris Christie, the list goes on. We couldn't even fill the screen with enough pictures. Primetime slots on Fox News are tough to get. Ron DeSantis got a bunch of them. You can't blame Josh Hawley for playing the game. And I was almost waiting for you to go here, but I'll go here for you. On the other side, it's performative on both sides, right? Today we just saw the U.S. Senate take up this abortion on demand bill that had zero chance of passing in the same way. And again, I go back to, are things really so good that we can afford to have our senators deal with problems that they're never going to solve, like Disney and abortion on demand?
Well, to the broader point, because I'll admit, if you couldn't tell, I'm sympathetic to what Josh Hawley's trying to do here.
I know. That's why we had it.
To the broader point, I completely agree with you. I mean, this is why, how does a guy like Donald Trump get elected in the first place, Leland? Nobody, the reason Americans turned to the guy who was not a Washington guy and who is because he was a smash mouth politics guy who said Washington has poorly served you. Now, you are more than welcome to assess his record. And I think most Americans would probably say, if they're being honest, things were much better under Trump than they are under Biden.
You don't even have to say if they're being honest. If you poll it right now, Trump wins handily over Biden in a head-to-head matchup right now. He was never ahead during the head-to-head polls before the election. I want to get you on this because so many of the people right now who are in the U.S. Senate are really more running for president than they are solving our problems. George Will, April 28th, saying senators should be barred from ever running for president. Take a listen.
The Senate is an extremely bad incubator of presidents because senators are not responsible, and therefore they tend to confuse gestures, tweets, speeches on the floor, scrums in the hall of the Capitol with gaggles of journalists. They confuse that with governing, whereas governors, as the name implies, actually govern.
George Will is the old guard of the Republican and conservative intellectual movement. You're the new guard. Is there some agreement between the two of you on this?
Well, I do think there is value in having served in an executive capacity. I mean, if you actually have control over thousands of people, then you have a better sense of how to deal with bureaucracies. I mean, here's the downside of the Trump presidency was the hiring, the personnel, dealing with the tentacles of the federal government. So yeah, there's a huge argument for having executive experience. I don't think senators should be ruled out. I just want people to respond to the needs of the government. We shouldn't be cutting checks for $40 billion to the Ukrainians when we spend 1/10 of that on the DEA, and over 100,000 Americans died last year. I think our priorities are a bit askew.
Yeah, and I am sure those who have loved ones who died from fentanyl would be thinking the very same thing you just did. We're going to have you back to talk more about the fentanyl debate. I want to hear why you don't think more is getting done on it, all right?
You got it. Thanks,
We'll talk soon. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.